Right, with us now is our guest co-host this evening, Georgia Tolley, to find out how she balances the demands of work with the importance of rest. GT, good to see you as always. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. I mean, this concept of balance and having a better understanding of work, life, play, balance. I mean, is it a myth? Is it something that's achievable? I suppose the opening question we should ask is, are we actually busier these days, or are we just convincing ourselves we are?
I think we definitely are busier, and I think that the UAE in particular is a place where we're a lot busier. I think people come to the UAE with a purpose in mind. They come to earn money, they come to build a new life, they come to send money home to their families. And I think that means that more than anywhere else in the world almost, we work harder. You know, we have an entrepreneurial spirit, we've got drive, and I think that the reality is that makes us all struggle with balance.
You know, Georgia, I noticed in these past couple of years, the wellness scene in the city has just boomed, hasn't it? Whether it's like a spa, a wellness club, or a recovery club, there's always one popping up left and right. Why do you think people are suddenly looking for so much balance at this point?
I think there's a lot more acceptance of mental health nowadays and talking about mental health. I think people aren't ashamed to say, actually, no, this is getting on top of me. And as a consequence, they're looking for the resolutions. They're looking for a way to, you know, de-stress ultimately. And, you know, like I said earlier, there's so many entrepreneurs in this city. Straight away, people have figured that out, haven't they? They're like, hang on a second, let me start a sound bath chamber or a plunge pool, or, you know, there's loads of fitness centers and places like that. So I think it all sort of ties in, but I think the primary motive or the primary reason is that we are all a lot more honest about these things.
That's true.
And so, Georgia, like we're talking about like wellness and balance, but it seems like nowadays everyone's telling us to optimize everything from our careers to parenting to routines. Even our downtime has to be optimized. Do you think that modern life has just become a performance in itself?
Yeah, that's pretty exhausting, isn't it? Let's be honest. There's this idea of what's this latest trend? It's looks maxing, isn't it? I can imagine that there's going to be like wellness maxing that's going to come into play as well. That's personally not something I engage with. Like, if I'm relaxing, I'm not telling people about it. But everything's a commodity nowadays, right? You can make money out of that. You can ensure that you're, you know, getting followers and likes, and also you can there's a sort of competition there, isn't it? Like, no, I'm actually the best at relaxing as well. Like, I'm the best at everything, including relaxing.
But I think you've hit the nail on the head there in terms of, you know, we're scratching around looking for the answers here. Social media has changed everything, isn't it? Because you are constantly on the whole time, and if you choose to be, that is, you know. So therefore, is the onus on sort of, as Matha was just saying there, you know, sort of optimizing your downtime, to have that sort of space, to have that time where you can just take yourself away and turn off?
I think it's really, really important that one partitions your public life from your private life. And I'm surprised at people who want to publicize their, you know, visits to the gym or their visits to the beach or their sort of chill out time with their children. And I think, to be honest, while we might see lots of people doing that on social media, I think the reality is that most of us, when we're chilling, we are just chilling quietly. You know, you just see it on social media, right? You see the people who are making a career out of it. And maybe they're secretly relaxing, but not taking pictures of it. Maybe it's actually part of their professional outpost is to stick it on social media, but they actually are discreetly keeping some time to themselves, or at least I really hope they are.
I hope so too, yeah. We need a little downtime. But so I noticed that, yes, we're posting a lot on social media, whether we're doing a new hobby, we're doing a new relaxation retreat or what have you, but we're being a bit more intentional in what we do and how we spend our time, right? So do you think that there's a shift happening in priorities for the people in the city?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think there might be a generational element to this. Like, I think at my age, there isn't much time to be intentional. You know, you've got your children, you've got your career, you've got family life, we're often the squeezed middle. You know, you're needing to manage your grandparents, your parents, and your children. And so I think maybe in that sort of busy context, I mean, personally, I don't get to be very intentional about my chill out time. I just grab a minute whenever I can find it. But I think for the younger generation, yes. And I think that there's a much greater emphasis for the younger generation on, you know, taking time for yourself, taking care of your mental health. And I think to a certain extent, they require their professional lives to fit around their lives, their mental health, in a way that perhaps people of my age, I don't want to say we because you're far younger than me, but we could, you know, that we could learn from ultimately. And some people are like really look down on the younger generation and go, you know, they're snowflakes, they don't work hard enough. But actually, I think maybe they've got it right.
It goes back to what you were saying earlier. We're just a bit more honest with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But I think, like, I know that technology has made life easier to connect with people, to work remotely, to do things that we necessarily couldn't do before that. But it also, I feel personally, it adds more pressure because you can switch off work, but you can't switch off your social. I've been experiencing that a lot with my family, for example. You can't take a mental day off for yourself because your parents will be pushing it, where are you, messaging and everything. If you don't answer, it becomes a panic. So how can we balance that with technology and be able to switch off from even our family and friends if we wanted to?
Gosh, I wish I had the absolute answer to that, because I have to admit, I don't think I'm very good at doing it myself. It is about putting your phone away, isn't it? But working in news, and obviously considering, you know, the amount of news we've had over the last few months, I have found it very, very hard to switch off. And I think everybody has. You know, you want to keep up to date with what's going on, but you don't want to be sort of swamped by information. I now have a rule that I don't look at my phone. That's not true, but I try to have a rule that I don't look at my phone on Saturday, or I don't look at the news on Saturday. I work on Sunday, but I try not to look at my phone on Saturday. And I think if you can just try and self-regulate like that, but, you know, as I say it, I don't do it. Like, I should do
Easier
it.
said.
Yes.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
It is strange, but I mean, there are arguments made that we put too much focus on balance as well, because there's this whole idea, isn't there, that there is a balance out there, but we all know that we're all individuals, so everyone finds their sort of space differently, etc. It might be a run club, might be the gym, might be gaming, it might be cooking or whatever. So this idea that there is balance to be had out there, surely it's a very personal subject, and you've just got to, I go back to your point of being honest with yourself about what gives you that balance.
Yes, I definitely do better when I'm doing loads of stuff. Like, my mental health requires me being busy, you know, and I often pack too much into the day and too much into my children's days as well, probably. And so it's about finding that balance with the other members of your family. Some people might like to take really long chill days, like, what's the expression? It's bed rotting. They might just want to stay in bed all day. Whereas others, you know, your way of decompressing is to act, is to do. I personally can't think of anything worse than going for a run, but I wouldn't run. That feels unreasonable unless someone's chasing you. So instead, relaxing for me is lying on the beach with a book. But you're right, yeah, everyone has their own vibe and their own way of doing things. But I have to say, though, I think people that don't slow down and don't stop are slightly deceiving themselves that they can handle it. Like, eventually, I think everyone breaks a bit, don't they?
Burnout is a very bad
burnout is real.